Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome. I'd like to call to order the June 9th, 2025 regular Three Rivers Council meeting. Okay. In the spirit of reconciliation, we acknowledge that the land upon which we gather is unceded Mi'kmaq territory, Epiwik, Prince Edward Island. Mi'kmaq is covered by the historic treaties of peace and friendship. We pay our respects to the indigenous Mi'kmaq people who have occupied this land for over 12,000 years, past, present, and future. So before we start, I just want to highlight the purpose of our meetings and our roles here tonight. We strive to uphold the values of Three Rivers, community, innovation, and inclusion. We have a special town and council is committed to contribute to sustainable growth. Council meetings are essential to our governance process, providing transparency in decision making. Elected members discuss finances, events, town maintenance, design, and bylaws, then vote on proposals. As mayor, I lead the council and break tie votes if needed, which doesn't happen often. Residents are encouraged to attend and participate, ensuring everyone can be a part of the governance process. We value your input and aim to maintain a respectful and professional environment. Personal attacks and disruptions won't be tolerated. So let's make these meetings a reflection of our pride in Three Rivers. Thank you for your respect and participation. So our first item on the agenda tonight is the approval of the agenda. Okay. Moved by Councillor Van Donkersgoed and second by Councillor McFarland. Any comments or additions to the agenda? Anybody have? Okay, hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Okay, that motion is carried. So the third is a disclosure of conflict of interest. Is anybody in conflict of interest on any items that are on tonight's agenda? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to 4.4, which is adoption of minutes. 4.1 is the adoption of the May 12th, 2025 regular council minutes on page 2, if you've had a chance to look at those. Okay, moved by Councillor Spin, second by Councillor Van Donkersgoed. All in favor? Aye. Okay, motion is carried. The second is the adoption of the May 26, 2025 special council meeting on page 7. And a mover and a seconder for those minutes. So moved by Councillor McFarland, second by Councillor McLean. Any comments or any discussion on those minutes? Okay, hearing none. All in favor? Okay, motion is carried. And number 5 is our CMP report on page 13. And I do believe we have Staff Sergeant Robinson here.
All right.
You're on.
I always go to the grocery store and I tell them I miss the old Visa racker, so I miss old technology sometimes. Thanks for having me. Persons crimes rose slightly in May, up to 22 from the 19 observed in April. Uttering threats, assault, both shared the most frequent category with 8 occurrences each. Assaults saw 2 occurrences cleared by charge or charges recommended, with 1 uttering threat cleared by a charge or charge recommended. 3 sexual offenses were reported in May, with 1 cleared by charge and 2 remain still under investigation. Property crime rose slightly in May, up 6 occurrences from April to end the month with 46. There were 3 break-and-enters reported, of which 2 remain open and still under investigation, and mischief accounted for most of the activity with 16 occurrences, while theft under 5,000 had 10. There were 6 thefts for motor vehicles, 4 of which occurred on the first weekend of May in Georgetown. 1 of these occurrences remains open and still under investigation. We had 6 drug enforcement occurrences that were reported, 3 trafficking, 1 for possession, and 2 non-criminal. 1 of the trafficking occurrences resulted in charges laid or recommended, and that was trafficking in cocaine, while another is open and still under investigation. Traffic enforcement occurrences increased again in May, rising to 220 from 186 in April. Impaired driving occurrences accounted for 8. We had lots of, an increase in reports too. We appreciated that, and we encourage people to call in impaired driving reports. With 4 by alcohol, charges were laid or recommended in 1, and 3 by drugs, charges were laid or recommended in 2. And 1 by a combination of drug and alcohol, which was also cleared by a charge or charge recommended. There were 2 flight from police, both of which are open and still under investigation. Speeding violations accounted for 77 occurrences, with 93 other traffic offenses and violations, and check stops were documented, and we had no fatal collisions reported. Overall, in Southern Kings, we had 491 occurrences, with 480 of these being founded or still under investigation. This is higher than May 2024, when 379 occurrences occurred, and last month when 393 occurrences were reported. I think we had 730 in all of Kings. It was a busy month. May was a busy month for us. It was very, very much felt and noted. An individual, so for policing initiatives, we did have an individual that was arrested for possession of drugs for the purpose of trafficking in Montague. Kings RCMP also investigated and recovered a trailer containing high-value tools in Cardigan, in addition to recovering 3 stolen trucks in May. We executed a search warrant in Lower Newtown and recovered stolen property and assisted with a hot air balloon emergency landing. Kings members also performed 6 curfew checks, arrested 3 individuals on outstanding warrants, and monitored 3 people released after incarceration. That included post-release visits, and we partnered with the parole board to monitor 1 subject in the community, or provide disclosure to assist with a decision that they were making. Members were also provided with training in the use of drones, mentorship, digital technologies, and impaired driving. Overall, in traffic enforcement, we had 11 check stops that were completed in Peaks. Somebody help me pronounce this. Luz. Caledonia, Eldon, Pisquid West, Burnham River, Gaspereau and Wood Islands, Pisquid West again, and Flat River. And then we did 4 selective traffic enforcement target, focusing on school zone stop signs and speed, and they were in Valleyfield, Montague, and Lower Montague twice. Hundreds of vehicles were checked during the check stops, and minor traffic offenses were observed, ranging from verbal and written warnings to summary offense tickets. We also had Road Safety Week, which occurred between May 13th and May 19th across PEI, which saw targeting of various traffic offenses. In total, 22 checkpoints were conducted across the island. Thousands of vehicles checked and detection of impaired drivers, and summary offense tickets and warnings were issued. 6 of those 22 occurred here in Kings. As it relates to the town of Three Rivers, the notable offenses were theft, impaired driving, mischief, and then mental health and breach of probation. And as I mentioned, overall in Kings we had 730 files. It was a pretty busy month. And then I gave a breakdown of all of the different kinds of violations in the Highway Traffic Act for everybody to see what's being caught out there.
Yeah, thank you for the information. That's
a lot, Dave.
It's a lot, and it's quite a busy month for sure. Way up from last year.
Yeah, it was definitely a bit, very noticeable. It's funny, I wrote the report and I'm like, I always feel like it's going to be inadequate, and as I read through it, I'm like, we did a lot. We definitely
Yeah.
had a busy month in May. So
I don't know if there's any reasons for that, or
nice
any-
weather. The
nice
nice
weather,
weather
yeah.
comes and it brings it brings people outside, right? So
Yeah. Any questions for the sergeant? Okay, go ahead, Councillor Smith.
You got businesses and residents. What is that?
which one?
Up for the town of Three Rivers?
Yeah, it's got done now. Yeah.
Very first page.
Oh, break and enter, businesses and residences. So we break up break and enters into 2 different categories. There's commercial break and enters, and then there's residential break and enters. They come with different penalties. So we hold break and enters into dwelling houses,
Right.
more serious than a break and enter into a commercial facility.
And the other one, I guess breach of probation. Do they actually get charged if they break probation? Or
Do, yeah, but definitely. And actually, in here, if they breach, it's, there's a chance that they get held. Last week, we ended up breaching an individual who was held in custody after the breach. So it's definitely treated with some serious
Like, what would they
regard.
get for that? Like,
Oh, that would be up to the courts to decide, the outcome, so.
I was gonna say, we hardly,
We could
I
see
hardly
another-
ever see it in the paper, so.
Yeah, we could see a fine, we could see another bout of probation, or we could see incarceration, and we've seen all three, so.
Good, thank you.
Okay, any other questions for Sergeant? Thank you very much, and thank you for everything you do.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry, John.
One,
Yeah,
the device for detection of cannabis, like your roadside test will give you a quantitative amount.
Yeah,
Then you back to the detachment for.
no, we go to the hospital, and we draw blood.
Oh, for blood,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So
Is there-
we do what's called a blood demand.
Is there work afoot for a more exact meter for cannabis?
Well, we're currently in process of changing from the one that we use to a new one.
Okay,
What that brings with technology and practical application in the field, we're not sure yet. We'll have to wait and see. So, but so far, the device that we use has been very successful, and it's led. We've seen an increase last year in drug impaired driving. It's definitely a noticeable impact on the impaired driving world.
so get any results back from, you have to send the, I guess, blood work away?
Yeah, so similar to a breath demand when you're drinking, we would bring you back to the police station or the closest facility, and we would do a breathalyzer, and the intoximeter is what we use. We would do the same thing with drugs. However, we would take you to the hospital, have a professional draw that blood.
Right, so the time frame for that to come back is fairly lengthy, right?
No, not necessarily. Yeah, we're treated pretty good here. It's pretty quick turnaround. Yeah.
Thank you.
okay, thank you. Thank you for taking the time to come to our meetings as well.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Good night.
Okay, our next item on the agenda is item 6. I just want to say that we have 2 registered speakers tonight, and the speakers are allotted 5 minutes to present their views. Council members will not engage in dialogue or debate, but they may ask questions afterwards. To ensure a productive and respectful discussions, speakers are encouraged to maintain a professional tone and avoid personal conflicts. So our first speaker tonight is Blair Sorey. And Blair's topic is the Robertson Road Complex.
Anything I gotta turn on here?
You're on, yeah. You
I'm
can
on.
just tell us your name for the record and where you live, Blair, that'd be great.
Thank you, I'm Blair Sorry, I live in Brudendale.
Okay,
With regard to the Robertson Road apartment complex, I would like to address some statements and insinuations that were made at the May 26th council meeting. People who opposed this project were characterized as not caring about affordable housing for families or the less fortunate among us. It was even suggested in a backhanded manner that people who own a house and dare to criticize this development are unchristian-like in their behavior. I find these types of innuendos and indirect attacks to be offensive and inflammatory. I don't know anyone who opposes this project, including myself, who are against housing for low-income citizens. If this proposal winds up on IRAC's radar, it will be because the legitimate concerns of people in this community have been dismissed as irrelevant. Having concerns about traffic, which, by the way, is not a tactic, as Mr. Baker suggested, is a reasonable concern. Having concerns about Gibson's Creek and the environment is a justifiable worry. Knowing that there is a legal document that states a third of this property is impacted by petroleum hydrocarbons, which shall not be disturbed unless strict environmental guidelines are followed, is a reasonable concern. Mr. Baker can continue to play the language games, but taking the word of a landowner who wants to sell property at face value should not be the policy of Three Rivers Council. That is why the Department of Environment should have been consulted for a comprehensive review of this project before it was ever voted on. In a broader sense, I think it's important to understand that there are thousands of people in this community who may disagree with many of the decisions that this council has made. I know of people who refuse to come to these council chambers anymore because their phone calls were never returned, their emails were not responded to, and their letters were never answered. Some of them came and spoke indisputable facts to council, and their words were ignored, and so they no longer see the point of even showing up here. That is a sad commentary on the state of democracy in Three Rivers. I believe our officials should serve all the people that elected them. I happen to believe, as a taxpayer, that we have a responsibility to hold council's feet to the fire and demand accountability when they do make bad decisions. But guess what? If and when we do that, it does not make us troublemakers. It does not make us less than compassionate. It does not make us racist. It does not make us discriminatory. And it certainly does not make us unchristian-like. What it does make us is citizens that care about the future of this community. I had to suggest I was going to call IRAC last week to even get a copy of your decision about the Robertson Road complex from a town employee. I was told I was not entitled to receive a copy when they in fact know that is not true. I sent emails questioning why a certain councillor was allowed to vote on this project when they have close ties to both the contractor and the landowner. Those emails went unanswered. This is not how a council or a community should function in 2025. I would like to say I am optimistic things will get better, but sadly there is too much evidence to the contrary. Thank you. Any questions?
Could you address the email?
What do you want me to address?
Did we answer Blair's email?
I didn't answer, no.
Did it come to you? Or who
It came
did?
to several people, I didn't answer.
Okay. Okay, I didn't realize we didn't answer your email. We'll look into that, certainly, Blair. I think if you want to find out the story or the facts on the environmental impacts on that property, why don't you, the best place to do that would be to call the Department of Environment.
I intend to do that.
Yeah, Greg Wilson is the manager there, and you can call him so we get facts from the Department of Environment rather than he said, we said.
Well, that's what, as I said, that's why I feel that they should have been consulted.
I'm sure.
And there was no evidence that they ever were.
I think, as far as I know, our staff has been in contact with the Department of Environment. As far as I know, there was many emails between them. As far as I know. So,
It would have
you
been
know,
nice to know the name or the contact information
I
of the
just-
person that they were talking to.
the director for that department is, and he would, if you're inquiring, is Greg Wilson.
Okay.
You may even be able to get him at 368-5000 still, I'm not sure. But he is definitely the director for the department, and if you're looking for somebody to talk to, I'd suggest you talk to him. Because it just seems to be that one person saying one thing, and we're saying something, but if you want to get the facts straight from the horse's mouth, that's where I'd go.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay. Okay, our next speaker is Charlie Hicken, and Mr. Hicken wants to talk on public building trust, transparency, and timely communication.
Good evening. My name is Charlie Hicken. I'm from Albion the Beautiful. I noticed on the CAO's report for this month that himself, the mayor, and the chair of the planning committee had attended a meeting in Ottawa, Federation of Municipalities annual meeting, and it was from May 29th to June the 1st. I got no idea what that cost the taxpayers. However, I think it's probably money well spent if they learned anything. Because one of the topics he suggested was public trust that he attended, was public trust, transparency, and timely communication. Concerning the timely communication, on April the 14th, town council meeting, I asked a number of questions about a development permit on Route 14 Riverside Drive. I was told by the mayor that the council would look into that. It's been 8 weeks and I've got no response. In our parliament, in our provincial legislature, we've got opposition that are allowed to ask questions and keep the government in check. Here in Three Rivers, the taxpayers and residents cannot ask questions at a meeting. They can have 5 minutes to make a presentation if they make their appointment on time, but their chance of getting a response is very slim. Most times they'd be better off sitting down at the lights and speaking to the people walking down the street. Three Rivers last year had expenditures of $6.8 million. That's a lot of money. But council refuses to give a monthly update on the financial report, although all the other municipalities on PEI do. They're not audited statements, but they give a monthly report on what the financial situation of the municipality is. But for whatever reason, this council refuses. Last year, council cost the taxpayer $100,000 for honorariums, $88,000 and $11,000 for travel. Taxpayers get no idea how that money was spent. They say the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. Well, each time I've come here and made a statement, and I've very rarely get any response. So it appears we have to take different plan of action. There are other avenues to get answers. The Municipal Government Act, Freedom of Information, and IRAC. And it appears that that's the way council wishes us to act. And it's on their head when this happens. Any questions?
Questions? I just have a couple of comments. Every year, referring in the budget, there's a remuneration bylaw that tells you how much councillors are paid. So you can certainly use that as a guide for where councillors pay. It's council and mayor and deputy mayor. There's 3 different levels of pay in it based on the population. So you can certainly do that.
And if I wish to find out how much it costs for this trip to Ottawa, how would I go about that?
I'm sure you can file a Freedom of Information.
Exactly.
Yep.
Because council isn't willing to be forthcoming with the answers.
I don't think you asked us for it just now. I mean,
Just
you've
asked
never
you-
asked
I
us.
just asked you right now if
You've
I wanted
never
that
asked us
information, how would I
before.
go about it?
You're
You
implying-
said file for information.
Yes, I did, but you're implying that you asked previously and didn't get it, and that's not the truth. Any other questions for Mr. Hicken? Any other questions?
Thank you.
Okay, thank
Would-
you.
Can I expect a response
From which?
on my questions on Riverside Drive?
We'll, yes, I'll talk to planning on that.
It's been 8 weeks.
But I'm not sure exactly what your questions were. We'll have to look back at the tape and.
You certainly can look back
Yep,
at the tapes.
we will.
because I have.
Yeah, we will. We'll look back and find out. I understood that night you had questions on the number of bathrooms, why there was a number of bathrooms.
You better look over the tapes. Your
Yeah,
memory is.
that's all I said I
your
can
memory's
recall,
very
but
poor.
we will look over the tapes and find out what your questions were and get back to you.
And when should I expect a response?
Within a week, we'll get a response to
It
you.
would be really nice when people make presentations if a response would come at the next council meeting.
You want a public response at the next council meeting? That's a month away.
It would be, it would be
Okay,
nice.
we'll give
We
you a
haven't
public
waited 8 weeks now.
Okay, we'll give you a public response at the next council meeting on your April 14th request. Okay, now, we are down to, okay, number 7 on our agenda tonight is a conflict of interest issue. We have a counselor and that, we have a resident that wants to approach council on a conflict of interest issue with Councillor McDonald, and we'd ask you to come to the podium now, Janice, if you're. I believe we have to read this into the record. I do believe we have it in an email.
I have
You have a copy of it?
yeah, I have a more lengthy response as well. to speak.
Pardon?
I was told I could speak tonight on those comments. I was told by the CEO I could speak tonight on the comments that I made in my email.
Well, shouldn't we hear the comments as well? Not everybody's. You're gonna read both, are you?
Sure.
Okay, go ahead.
What would you like me to start with?
Well, I'd like to just start with your complaint first.
Okay, sure. If I had good evening, my name's Janice Macbeth and I'm from Victoria Cross. I didn't read the conflict of interest bylaw before I put in my complaint. Therefore, I might have changed some of the wording and elaborated a little bit more on what my complaint actually is about. This was in reference to the meeting that was held on May 26. It was a special council meeting directly following a COC meeting. I made the comment that Councillor MacDonald had a presentation on the Economic Development Committee. She supported the apartment development, meaning the development I'm going to reference, which is 5.5 Robertson Road, Brudenell. Speaking in favor, this is she supported the apartment development, speaking in favor of the development. I'm missing part of this on my page that I printed off, but I said that she had mentioned that she had done business with the developer. She had sold property to and helped Anchor Construction with funding, and is now helping with the funding for the apartment complex. So in what I have to read tonight, I've elaborated a little bit more, and I also reflected on the conflict of interest determinations in your bylaw within the Municipalities Act, and also my own thoughts. So good evening. I'm following up in an email that I wrote to the CEO regarding what I perceived as a conflict of interest of one of the members of council, which would have, at the special council meeting, May 26, 2025, and that was a perceived conflict of interest with Councillor MacDonald regarding the development application 5.5 for the 40-unit complex on Robertson Road, Brudenell. Firstly, I would like to make note and let everyone know that I see the value in the hard work that Councillor MacDonald does within her role at Active Communities, Inc. She brings a lot of spirit and a lot of joy to the community. I have worked with Councillor MacDonald on different projects over the years to enhance our community, working on the Canada Tree Project and the Art Trail, among others. At one point in time, we shared the same vision of a community as an arts and culture destination. In 2021, the town of Three Rivers entered into a partnership, a memorandum of understanding with Active Communities, Inc., in order to promote business development within the town of Three Rivers. With this came the formation of the Economic Development Committee to move projects in our community forward. As an aside, Active Communities' mandate is to implement and develop projects through loans and counseling to small business. Councillor MacDonald's role at Active Communities, Inc. and on the Economic Development Committee helps to provide funding opportunities and build partnerships among business people, nonprofits, developers, contractors, and small business owners. Building relationships and partnerships is a very important role in business development and community building. Herein lies the conflict, as I am unsure if there are any type of performance metrics for staff associated with funding agreements or small business successes from Active Communities, Inc. The councillor has spoken publicly at different council meetings, talking about selling the property in Brudenell that she sold to Anchor Construction to subdivide. And I do believe at the meeting that was approved. I don't have the date, but I do believe she removed herself from that vote. However, the councillor sits on the Economic Development Board with the owner of the parcel under discussion last meeting, 5.5 Robertson Road, which was Mark Baker. The councillor is also part of the sourcing for the nonprofit for this development, from what I understood from your speech. So you were also helping with sourcing out for the developer. So I see there's three conflicts with the owner, with the developer, and with the nonprofit. Because when you're involved in that type of partnerships, building partnerships and building community, you become biased. And it's hard to be impartial. Councillors must remain at arm's length and not vote on anything that has ties to one personally or professionally. And I do believe Councillor Monroe stepped aside because of his involvement with Bogside at that same meeting. The councillor has also has noted her conflict of interest on the town website. Active Communities and the town are in a partnership. They have an MOU. We have someone that works there. There's a conflict of interest. My question is, has the councillor been told prior to council meetings that decisions she may be in conflict with, and maybe she should err on the side of caution when voting? I'm not sure. Is there a best practice document for councillors to refer to when it comes to voting at arm's length? At this meeting, I understand, after reading the bylaws, that if the councillor is considered in conflict, the council will vote, the councillor could be removed. Or the council has the opportunity to pardon the councillor as per the bylaw. The second option, which would be to pardon, would be the correct thing to do, as I believe Councillor MacDonald's role is very important driving economic development in the area. And I know this is going to be a busy year. I know many people have noticed the amount of small businesses that have left our community, from Camstar all the way over to the other side of the bridge, Glassroots. Citizens are concerned about economic development, and I feel that Councillor MacDonald will have a lot to focus on. And I also feel that, in summary, good projects can stand on their own merit. One vote lost for a potential conflict of interest is well worth saving your face in the public eye and being transparent. And it also gives merit to councillors' decisions. Thank you.
Okay, we'll just let everybody know how this works, and I think, so Martina has, Councillor MacDonald has an opportunity to respond. But just a point, Councillor Monroe, Councillor McFarland, myself, and our CAO also attend most of those Economic Development Committee meetings.
Are you hired and employed by Active Communities?
No, I'm not, but I'm
Okay.
just saying there's more.
Does the town have an agreement with Active Communities, Inc., an MOU from 2020?
We have an MOU with them.
Where does Councillor MacDonald work?
I'm just pointing it out. I didn't say I worked at Active Communities. I'm pointing out
That's the
that there
point.
is other councillors
Of course.
on the committee. Okay.
I'm not saying someone not be part of economic development in the community. What I'm saying, please, is that that one vote should be arm's length.
I guess there's, from sitting up here, it's almost, we're almost, I guess in some ways, Janice, scared to make a move because of what people think. It's often hard to be a councillor and to be somebody up here because of, I guess, the criticism. Mr.
Pardon me, Mayor. This is not criticism.
I'm,
This is about procedures within council chambers, and it's about a bylaw that councillors should follow. It's not personal. You can hear it's not personal. I've said it's not personal.
I guess I find some of the things that come to the podium personal. Anyway, that's enough. That's enough of that. I'm just saying it is a difficult job to sit here some nights. Councillor MacDonald, you have your chance.
I don't mind to respond. I've read the conflict of interest from
Attorney-
Yeah, so I've read the conflict of interest document from start to finish, and as an employee of Active Communities Development, Inc., I was not going to do that report that night. I had asked my employee Kathy to send it to Alan or John to do the report. That's what they're the counselors on that committee. Anyway, at the very last minute, I'm not sure why, Alan came over here and said, I don't, I wasn't at the last meeting, you know more what's going on than most, so he said, will you do this? And I was sitting here. So I thought, well, things are going good and we're doing some exciting work. I was excited to share that with this community, and I know that a lot of people watch online and they know they need, information is key. So I'm a full believer that the more people know what's going on, the more they understand. Okay, so to address the conflict of interest, that's why I read that report that night, not because that's my role, it's not. I'll be the first to admit that. And I would have preferred if Alan had read it. But anyway, so, or John, but that was short notice. I was sitting here. Anyway, about the conflict of interest on that particular project, there is, and I believe, a housing study that was done by our council here in Three Rivers, and there's still, I'm not in that world, a lot are, but I'm not, that there is a shortage of housing for this region. So we did explore how the Sisters of St. Martha did their project in town. I had an employee that was really keen to do a project in Montague because she had tried to have her elderly father find a place to live, and she spent months looking for a place to live for him and could not find it. So she put that all together, and then she went on maternity leave. So I said, Active Communities is not doing this project. So I reached out to King's Place, who are really good at these types of projects, and I asked them, would you consider doing this project in Eastern PEI, because apparently it's quite needed. They were out the next day. They were happy to do it for this region. It's a lot of 3-bedroom units that are very much needed. And anyway, I know you don't feel I'm addressing the situation, but no, I know. So then, is Mark, you say I have close relations with Mark and Randy. Mark is not the developer on this project. He's not the applicant on this project. And so Randy and these gentlemen connected.
Just, there's no back and forth here, I'm sorry. You get to say your say, and there's no
Yeah, you said
questioning
there
each
was,
other.
Blair alluded that there was close connections with the counselor. I like forward thinkers. I kind of agree when I see someone with a vision, and I think our town needs vision. There's a real question of if not there, where? So this not in my backyard kind of philosophy is alive and well in Three Rivers, and it's been brought up a few times. It's always going to be a problem where to put housing, but these are not low rentals, so to say. Back in the day, that was what was considered low rentals. So, was I in conflict of interest directly? I don't feel on this particular project that I was at all. So I didn't step out. To be honest, I didn't think about it that much.
Both parties have had their chance to say their piece. So now Councillor McDonald is asked to leave the room. And what happens now, according to our bylaw, and Janice, if you could just take a seat. Yep. So after the complaint has been made, the council will consider all relevant information. So I'm asking the councillors here tonight to consider everything you've heard. And the council must declare one of two things, that the member is in a conflict of interest or the member is not in a conflict of interest. And you have something? Yeah, or we can see, or we can leave it here and go seek legal counsel's opinion. So, you have a question? Go.
Just to clarify, my understanding was there was no money from Active Communities that was backing this project. I'd like to clarify that with Martina, but my understanding with talking to the applicant that there was no money from Active Communities. Can I have a clarification on that?
I asked that question to Councillor McDonald, and she confirmed that there was no funding from Active Communities, Inc. to anchor construction on this project.
Okay, so there's no funding from the project. Yes, she knows people in the community, but I don't see where she gained financially or gave anybody else a financial gain, or there was any benefit for her by voting on this, and I don't feel that she is in a conflict of interest on this issue.
Okay. Anybody else? Councilor McFarland?
Thank you, Your Worship. Conflict of interest can be ambiguous, especially with the new rulings on it. It was bad enough in the beginning when basically it worked down to if it put $1 in your pocket or took $1 out of your pocket, it was the councillor in particular. It was definitely conflict of interest. And that's understandable. So that still, in my mind, is the basis of conflict of interest. I'm on the Economic Development Corporation. I work with Mark. I know Randy on a personal level. Some people may say that puts me in a conflict of interest. I certainly don't think that in any way, shape, or form would I be in conflict of interest with the decision on this project, and I certainly don't think that that Councillor McDonald is in conflict of interest on this either. She has great ties through her work, and when the meeting was progressing, not 1 second did it come in my head that there was a possible conflict of interest here. So that's why I have no reason that this would be even considered. Thank you.
Okay. CEO just wants to make a point.
Just when you were talking about conflict of interest, Councillor McFarland, our bylaw does identify 4 cases where there is where there could be a conflict of interest, and they are listed in the bylaw. Has a pecuniary interest, which is a financial interest, is a shareholder, officer, agent, or director of a corporation or any other organization that has dealings or contracts with the municipality, is a party to dealings or contract with the municipality, or is a member of a partnership that has dealings. A council member is in conflict of interest if the member makes a decision or participates in making a decision in the execution of their office, while at the same time the member knows or ought to know that the member's private interests or private interests of a person closely connected to the member. So it's fairly clear. And I just wanted to point out the 4 instances, and I did share the bylaw with all the council in advance of the meeting.
Okay, anybody on this side of the chambers wish to speak? Go ahead.
Thank you,
Councillor
Your
McFarland.
Worship. When I'm reading the bylaw, I believe she is in a conflict, because if she's an agent or whatever it states there in B, I believe, a director, they are having dealings with, from Active Communities and also with the town. So I believe that statement itself is a conflict of interest. I myself have thought that before on different occasions myself, but I know she's not getting any money towards it or anything like that, but if you know the dealings of that's what it states there, that's my understanding of it. So I do believe she was in a conflict of interest for that and should have recused herself from it.
CDI is not involved. They have no funding in this.
Can you read number 4.5, point B or?
Yep.
B?
Yeah,
Well, there's 4, you pointed.
yeah.
B is if someone is a shareholder, officer, agent, or director of a corporation or any other organization that has dealings or contracts with the municipality.
from what I read of that is that she's a director of Active Communities East and also having dealings with the other party involved here. It's not necessarily, she is a council member. So my interpretation of that is that she is a director that has dealings with other people, just like I would think I would be in a conflict if it was me. That's my interpretation of it. So if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but that's how I see it.
Okay, anybody
One
else?
more thing.
Anybody else want to speak before either Cindy or Ann speak, because they both already spoken once? Anybody else? Go ahead, Cody.
I see both sides of it, that she's not and she is. And my go-to is where I don't like to go to legal and spend money, but I think maybe this is the proper step in this one. I'm not that well versed when we get into reading bylaws and how it's exactly stating. I think our safe route is to talk to legal and hear what they have to say.
Okay. Go ahead, Cindy.
I just don't think that there was anything intentional done on Councillor McDonald's part. I don't think it, that she knew that she was in a conflict or anything like that. I think it was, like she said, she didn't think she was in a conflict, so. I don't think anything was intentional on her part at all, so.
Okay, Ann, go ahead.
I think if there was a development that came forward that was a project that was funded by Active Communities, then I think there's a conflict. But where this is not a project that's funded by Active Communities and it's brought forth by, the other developers, that's where I don't see the conflict, Cindy. So that's just.
Oh, John, go ahead.
I've read this over numerous times. Is a shareholder, officer, agent, or director of a corporation or any other organization that has dealings or contracts with the municipality. I don't see this as being in conflict for the simple reason that we do not have direct dealings in terms of the municipality and this organization of which Martina is a part. So I see this as not necessarily being in conflict. I don't necessarily agree that we need to go to legal. I think we have the ability to interpret this as we see here, but I am open to it if council deems that we should be sending it on.
Okay, so how are we going to decide this? Yep, go ahead, Cindy.
I'm not saying I'm right or I'm wrong, but like I know there's been a couple of requests or tenders put in or whatever, and people are related to you. We used to have to step out, never getting any money from them, never having any of the dealings with it or anything like that. But I felt that I was in a conflict of interest because I was a cousin or whatever. I don't have to leave the chamber room anymore. I just can't vote on that situation. So that's where I'm coming from here. I think because she had the dealings with both our parties, with the economic development and knowing some of the things, not that she's got any money from it or anything like that. I just believe that she should have just recused herself for that, because to me, that is a conflict of interest, whether money changed hands or not, or there was dealings with money with the municipality. That's all I have to say.
Okay, well, maybe the best thing to do is, okay, maybe we can take a vote on who wants to send it to, the first vote will be who wants to send it to legal counsel. So all in favor of sending it to legal counsel, please signify.
Your Worship, can I just say one thing? I mean, I don't know necessarily that we need to vote. We obviously have some discrepancy around this table here right now. And I would suggest that because we have a variety of opinion that has happened in terms of our reading of this here, then automatically we should just maybe send it to legal counsel.
So you think we should send it?
That's just my view, but because we have a discrepancy that's
Okay.
happening here, maybe we should be.
Is that the preference then, that we send it to? Okay,
Sending it to council will also provide you with clarity in future
okay.
cases.
Yeah, if that's what, okay, if that's wishes of council, then we'll send it off to, we'll have the CAO send it off to legal counsel, but we should do a vote in favor of that. Okay, just so the CAO has clear directions. Okay, all in favor of,
So the motion is?
the motion is to, John, do you want to make, or Cody, or somebody who wants to send it? Yep,
We'll just move to see if, what do we wanna say, then if our counselor is in conflict. Clarification on conflict of interest
okay,
on this matter.
okay, all in favor? Okay, any nays? You don't want to send it off? Okay, so we have, okay, we have 4 yeses and 2 nays. Okay, you can ask Martina to come back in. Cindy and Ann were the 2 nays. Yep. Yep. Okay, first time for everything. Okay, we're down to 8.1 is the mayor's report, and it's as written. I'll just go over a couple of things. Oh, yeah, I guess we can. Council voted to send it to legal for an opinion on Section B, shareholder, officer, agent, so we're just gonna get some clarification on that. Okay? All right. So, everything's busy here in Three Rivers at this time. We have baseball, we have the NHL ball hockey. I see all their sweaters have arrived today. Those kids will be getting those players, and that they'll be very happy tonight. It's great to see the much needed installation on the sidewalks on Queens Road. I know there's other areas that we do need sidewalks, I acknowledge that, but the Queens Road extension has been on my list of sidewalks for a number of years, and there's a lot of foot traffic down there, and I'm pleased to see it. On May 14th, I was asked to participate in the Families First Walk for Violence Prevention. I want to thank the RCMP for escorting those walkers every year, and the MRHS students always take part in it. I'm on the board of the PEI-FM, and I attended their monthly meeting in Charlottetown on the 15th. And a first-time event was held in Montague. The IG Wealth Management Alzheimer's Walk took place at the Montague waterfront. It was a great event. They asked me to bring greetings from the town. It was well attended. Perfect place to hold that event, and I sure hope they come back next year because it was great to see that in the town. And as Mr. Hicken mentioned, I was privileged to attend the Canadian Federation of Annual Conference and Trade Show in Ottawa. Also attending the conference were our colleagues from Stratford, Charlottetown, Cornwall, Summerside, along with 2,500 total participants from every province and territory in Canada. It is truly an opportunity to attend that event. There was councillors there. I even met somebody from Dawson City, Yukon. The networking opportunities and the interactions and the trade show, knowledge gained from the other events and everything that was at that show, the opportunity to attend the daily things that were offered was amazing. It was interesting to note that many of the issues are similar from province to province, no matter how big they are, and misinformation became a particularly common concern for every one of the sessions that I sat in on. The daily events began at 7 and continued through the day with a choice of plenaries, educational sessions, tour of Ottawa, municipal projects, and keynote speakers. We even got a visit from Prime Minister Carney. The trade show featured hundreds of exhibitors who supply goods and services to municipalities all across Canada. And finally, I want to thank Staff Sergeant Robinson for again conferring with Council on priorities for the upcoming year. We appreciate and thank you for all your efforts to keep Council informed of the plans of our community, for keeping us safe. Okay. Is yours next, John? Yep, okay, and we'll ask the CAO to do his report now.
Thanks, Your Worship. I was away on holiday for a good part of May. So my report is a little more concise than usual. My wife and I had a nice visit to Barbados to spend time with her family. One of the questions that come up from Councillor Monroe at a previous meeting was the cost of the town for appeals. And last year we had one appeal, was for the School Street development. And we had our financial officer look into the legal costs for that, and it was it was exactly $23,650 for the cost of legal related to that IRAC appeal. And as you know, IRAC upheld the town decision on that. And that does not include staff time that would have been included in preparation, working with the lawyers and presenting to IRAC at the time. And now we'll get on with my report, just touch on a few things. On the financial side of things, financial officer Don Arsenault, and along with town staff, worked with the audit team from MRSB. They were here, I think, for 3 days. And what we're hearing is that they had a very easy go of things, making a comment that given the amount of transactions in the organization that the towns look after, that there was a lot of clarity and very few questions around. So we're expecting a nice audit report when that comes out. We'll share that with you and the public. Congrats to Dawn on her work on that. Also, you'll see the financial report was a little delayed because of our time with the auditors. It is on your desk, and you'll see once again that we're in a very healthy financial position. I think we posted $99,000 surplus in our first month, and after you take off some capital costs out of that, we're still at about $77,000. So a really nice start to the year. In terms of human resources. Pleased to welcome Chris Schneider. He's our new municipal gardener. He brings a wealth of experience and will be a great contribution to the beautification of our community. We also welcome Jonathan Gardner. He's our temporary recreation and events coordinator. He'll be filling in for Victoria. He has a great background in business and in recreation, and also on his personal side of things, coaching basketball and umpiring and the like. So we're quite impressed with what Jonathan is bringing to the table. But we would also like to acknowledge the retirement of Joan Marks, our executive assistant and clerk to council. Her dedication and service to the town has been truly exceptional. Joan has been a valued member and a tremendous resource. Particularly, she did a great job of managing the town's IT needs. Her final project, she led the development of the town's new website, and we'll be launching that on July 16th. And it stands as a testament to her skill and her commitment. So we wish Joan all the best in her retirement coming up. Danielle and I also, in advance of the Canadian Federation of Municipalities meeting, attended the meeting of the Canadian Association of Municipal Administrators. That's a wonderful conference with about 500 to 600 municipal administrators from across Canada, mostly CAOs. Great opportunity to learn. There were several excellent sessions that we took part in. One of the ones I really liked, and we're using it a bit here, is some AI on some of our projects, and we went through a really neat AI session on how other municipalities are using that tool to drill down and make things more streamlined. On the other side of things, just on miscellaneous, had a really good tour of the Cardigan ball fields with Reg Conahan. If you know Reg, he's well versed in ball field maintenance. So we looked at where we can improve things at the Cardigan ball complex. Had a good meeting with MP Kent McDonald, the new MP, to discuss our priorities for Three Rivers. Attended a really interesting session with Maritime Electric in Brudenell a couple of weeks ago. And they were talking about on-island energy generation that they would look at as a backup given the increased demand we have for electrification here, especially in the wintertime. And it's interesting how the demand is increasing, not only due to climate change, but also because of the increased electrification and the challenges there are in obtaining electricity from other sources. They did say, which is interesting, is that 88% of their electricity currently used in Prince Edward Island is from non-carbon sources. 15% of that is wind, and the remainder is from other non-carbon, mostly from nuclear. Anyway, that's a brief update on the month of May. Like I said, I spent most of it at a country, but if anyone has any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
Any questions for CAO? Okay, next on our. Thanks. Next on our agenda is 8.3, it's Development Permit Monthly Report, and I believe it's as written. Quite a number of reports there. Any discussion on the report? Yeah, that's quite a list there this month. Yep. Okay, if there's no discussion on that report, we'll move along to 8.4, which is the financial report. And I'll let Dawn give the monthly report.
Thank you, Your Worship. This report is for the first month of the quarter, April 30th, 2025. So we do have a very good start to the year. Like John was saying, operating surplus of $99,340 after some capital purchases and our principal loan payments. We're ending at a cash flow surplus of $71,053. You'll notice a few changes I've made in the operating report this year due to some comments and feedback I got from the councilors last year. I've changed how I've expensed some of the yearly expenses, where in the past, expenses that should have been expensed through the whole year were taken in 1 month, and it would leave highs and lows in our financial statements. I've decided to expense those over the year, every month, and expensed. So you'll see more consistency with how I'm reporting, and you'll, instead of having where we're at a loss 1 month and then the next month it's showing a great big surplus, that's going to be more steady and consistent. So you'll see exactly how the town is doing month by month based on the expenses and revenues. So I hope that this year there'll be a little bit more clarity with my statements, but so far we had a good start to the year.
Any questions for Dawn on our budget? Oh, it's great to hear that we're in a good financial, that we maintain a good financial situation. No questions for Dawn? Okay, we'll move along to number 9, which is our request for decisions. First request for decision is 9.1, request for decision 25-14E bike storage Georgetown. The resolution is, be it resolved that the Montague Waterfront Development Corporation be permitted to locate a 10 by 12 foot building at 34 Water Street, Georgetown, to store e-bikes for rental purposes. All costs associated with the building and the e-bike rentals will be covered by Montague Waterfront Development Corporation. 10 by 20, what did I say? Sorry, 10 by 20. Sorry. Okay, mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor McFarland, second by Deputy Mayor Jenkins. Comments, questions on the, go ahead, Wayne.
I think it was Councillor McLean that bring up the idea, or the suggestion. Now, who is going to make sure that all the bikes are put away after the day is over, right? Is it going to be our staff, or is it going to be?
As far as I know, the waterfront's looking after the whole project, so that would be included in the project.
So you're saying that we're going to have one basically at every.
There is going to be bikes at 3 different locations.
Yeah, 3 or 4 different places, but
Yeah.
I'm saying is.
The CAO may have more information. I just understand it's all being looked after by the Montague Waterfront employees.
My understanding is they'll have staff that'll put out the bikes, and if Brogan's here, he can correct me if I'm wrong, put out the bikes in the morning and put them back in the evening. And I think there may be associated times when they're available for rental. We will have staff in Georgetown that can help out when needed, because we have staff there that are renting kayaks and paddleboard. Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
But the lead on the project is Waterfront Development Corporation, and of course, we'll support them when needed.
That's good. I can't wait to go for a drive myself, so.
I think that's all covered in their business plan, is it not? Yeah. Okay, anybody else? Okay, in favor of the motion? Okay, nobody opposed? Okay, motion carried. Okay, the second is 9.2. And, request for decision 25-15, support, for the Green Ferry. The motion is, be it resolved that the town of Three Rivers will provide written support for a funding application for a green energy foot ferry water taxi pilot project initiative to connect the Three Rivers waterways. Moved by Councillor McFarland, second by Councillor Van Dyke. Any discussion on this one? John?
Thank you, Your Worship.
Councillor
This
Farrell?
is a project I'm really excited about. I think this is gonna open up the marinas and continuity river-wise between all the areas of Three Rivers. I think this is really gonna take off.
Yeah, between e-bikes and the ferry, we'll have a lot more to do in Monaco. Wayne can try both of them out. Okay, all in favor? Or, okay, motion carried. Next is 9.3, request for decision 25-16, Monaco Streetscapes. And the resolution is, be it resolved that 15 streetscape fixtures with 12-foot poles with banner arms and base covers be secured from Hanson Electric, including installation. The cost per pole is $8,250 plus tax. The total cost of the project is $123,750 plus HST, bringing it to a total of $142,312.50. The project will be funded by $53,730.09 from the Monaco Reserve and $88,592.41 less GST, and from the MCEG totaling $70,019.91 from current operations. So there's, just to clarify, there's three places the funding is coming from. Okay, moved by Councillor Van Orkik, second by Councillor Spin. Any discussion? I think, go ahead.
Another project I really like to see it going. It's gonna be great to see some continuity in all the lighting system and throughout Main Street and Waterfront.
Yeah, I agree. Those other lights that we had were pretty dim, and we got a lot of complaints about them. And there's and there's a number of them missing. Okay, all in favor? Okay, that motion is carried. Okay, 9.4 is a request for decision 25-17, e-bike storage Cardigan. And the motion is, be it resolved that the Monaco Waterfront Development Corporation be permitted to store e-bikes for rental purposes at the Town of Three Rivers building located at 6876 Water Street, Cardigan, from June 8th, 2025 to September 30th, 2025. All costs associated with the building and e-bike rentals will be covered by the Monaco Waterfront Development Corporation. Moved by Councillor Spin, second by Deputy Mayor Jenkins. Any comments on this request? No? All in favor? Okay, motion is carried. 10 is some correspondence for information. The museum just had a really large donation of artifact of information that they brought to the Artifactory from Fulton Underhay, and Fulton donated all this. There's a large amount, and the Garden of the Gulf just wanted to, board just wanted to let everybody know that this donation has been received and is being worked on. I understand there's a lot of material. And I don't think we have anything else, so I'll call for adjournment. Moved by Councillor McFarland, second by Councillor Spin. Thank you, everyone.